Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 5 O'Clock Hustle podcast. This is episode 7, and in this episode, we spoke with Kevin Bull, or Kevin the Bull, as you might recognize him from the hit television show American Ninja Warrior on NBC. We spoke with Kevin about his journey from being a collegiate athlete to becoming a stock trader after college, and then how that transitioned him to become one of American Ninja Warrior's top-ranked athletes. We also talked to him about his sponsorship with Circus Tricks and how that led him to become the general manager of Dojo Boom, an extreme air sports and trampoline park in Thousand Oaks, California. And let me tell you what, Dojo Boom is amazing. We actually got to record the episode there. Oh, and by the way, sorry in advance for any sound issues you might hear in the episode. The place was packed with people bouncing around, having a blast, swinging around on the ninja course. And even though we were in one of their private party rooms, our microphones were just no match for all the excitement that was going on out there. But don't worry about that. There's some great content for you in this episode, and we learned a lot about what it's like being a real ninja warrior. I also want to make sure you pop down to the show notes and check out the link to the Children's Alopecia Project. Kevin does a lot of amazing work for this charity, and if you don't know much about it, their website is a great place to get educated and learn about what you can do for the kids. Okay, last thing, because we're a new podcast, we need all the help we can get. So do us a favor and subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, preferably a positive review. But seriously, your feedback really helps us produce more and better content. And remember to sign up for our newsletter on our website. New signups are automatically entered to win an official 5 O'Clock Hustle t-shirt, so don't miss out on that. All right, everybody, that's it for today. I hope you enjoy the show and keep hustling. 5 O'Clock Hustle.
5 O'Clock Hustle, bro.
5 o'clock, 5 to 8, 5 to 12, 5 to 3 until you get back up the next morning.
Every week I got a new idea.
And that's what it always is, right? It's crazy.
5 o'clock. I was doing that in 2005, but everybody thought it was weird.
5 o'clock. Thus, the side hustle was created. 5 o'clock hustle podcast.
Man, they're having so much fun.
I did track and field through college, and the tricky thing about track and field is after college there's really not much to do with it. It's hard to be a professional track and field athlete. There's a very, very, very small portion of the track and field people that make it there. So I started going to work. I found a job at a bank, and I was working as a personal banker for a few years, and I wasn't really enjoying it. So eventually I got frustrated there, and I kind of took a big plunge and I left. I didn't have another job lined up. I said, okay, I'm gonna...
No side hustles?
Well, I had a side hustle. I had started trading the stock market when I was working there, which is risky, but I was doing well.
Sure.
So that was part of the reason why I felt like I could go ahead and drop off the regular workflow.
Sorry to interrupt, but do you think that the way that you were brought up with your parents kind of giving you that free range to go out and play and do whatever you wanted, do you think that allowed you to have the confidence to leave that job and go do the next thing?
A little bit, yeah. I think what it did more is it just I became very comfortable thinking outside of the box.
Okay.
So I look at my alternatives, and I think a lot about opportunity cost, and those type of things are important. A lot of that, though, also comes from a different part of my upbringing, which is my dad's an economics professor.
Oh, wow.
So I learned a lot about opportunity cost and concepts like that. And I just felt like sitting at the bank every day was expensive for my future. I didn't think I was moving up quickly enough, and I didn't think that I was learning enough about other things that I might want to do.
What was your major in college?
Business.
Business, okay.
I majored in business management.
So so that's probably coming a lot more into play now that than it has in the last couple of years.
I mean,
right?
It's interesting. I feel like I learned a lot more in like 1 month of running a business than I learned in all my years in school.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
You learn much quicker when you're actually doing it.
Yeah. Okay, so we got through. You started stock trading, and you had a pretty good experience with that as well.
Yeah.
And then you had some. You didn't like your current work at the bank.
Oh yeah, there was a funny moment when I left, and my boss at the time said, "Well, what are you going to do? Like, if you're not going to work here, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I might go back to school." And in the back of my mind at that time was Ninja Warrior, which I had started watching, and I thought I'd be good at it. So I said, I'm either going to go back to school or I'm going to become an American Ninja Warrior.
Dude, that is awesome.
My boss kind of scoffed when I said that, because it was a long shot, and it was definitely a long shot.
What season was it in when you first thought that might be a feasible idea?
It must have been probably season 5, really.
Season 5, okay.
And then maybe season 4, when it first started to circulate in my mind. Yeah, like I know I saw Sasuke before, and Sasuke, I thought, I would like to do that, but it was all the way over in Japan.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to happen.
Sure.
I remember there was a moment on Sasuke I was watching, and I thought it looked like something I could do, but I wasn't sure. And then they had some American gold medalist gymnasts attempt their course, and they couldn't get up the warp wall. And I was like, I think I can get up that warp wall. This is something I could do better than the Olympic gymnast. So yeah, that was where in my head I thought, okay, that's maybe something that I could do at some point. But it wasn't for a couple more years that it became more popular in the U.S. and became more of an institution. Yeah. And then I started to realize that there was actually ways of getting there.
Okay.
So were you training at that point, like that style?
Yeah, what was
or was it just something you were like, I'm confident in myself, I can go out and I can do that?
Well, I wasn't training in that style so much. I didn't really know how to train in the style of Ninja Warrior yet, but I was the type of person who liked to do obstacle-like things. I would pick weird challenges for myself out and try to do them. Training for the show is much more intense.
Yeah,
sure. And you have to plan it out much better than I was doing at the time. But I was actually just doing CrossFit at the time. That was my workout. I was doing that a lot. I could never quit sports after college. There was no more track competitions to go to, but I had to do something, and CrossFit was fun. It was competitive, which I liked.
Yeah.
But I was still looking for something that is more suited to my talents than CrossFit was.
Okay.
And it was a while again before I found Ninja. So I was 29 when I started doing Ninja Warrior, which is...
just to touch on a little bit more, because
we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you just want to.
Well, I'm kind of curious because, like I said, like I've been doing the Spartan training stuff, and I'm like, what are the big differences between CrossFit training and Ninja training?
That's a good question. So I will say there's a big difference. I didn't realize when I was doing CrossFit, you're working all these different muscle groups, and you're getting some cardio in there too, and it feels like, this is the full body workout, and that's always the way I thought about it. And then Ninja comes around, and they're like, all right, hang by your fingertips from the cliffhanger, and you fall.
Yeah.
Right off. And I realized, okay, something else is going on here. I've missed something, and I had no idea you could strengthen your tendons. I didn't realize that was something you could do. Yeah. And rock climbers know how to do that.
Yeah. I remember I came home so many times with just torn. I had calluses on my fingertips, which is a really interesting thing. But totally, just the... It's intense.
So you try to take pieces of knowledge from these different disciplines, and you need a lot for doing the obstacles, because each obstacle has different elements, and a different discipline might be better at it. I use my track and field background sometimes. I like to borrow from rock climbers a lot. The parkour guys have a lot of things figured out. So it's fun to have that medley of different disciplines coming together to do an obstacle course.
Sure.
It's like Shang Tsung. You just take all the...
Yes. So you said that you started American Ninja Warrior when you were 29. So it's really interesting, because there's going to be a lot of people that are kind of in their position where they're looking at something that is their American Ninja Warrior, and they're sitting there looking at it like you said, you saw it on TV, and you're like, I could do that.
Yeah.
Like we've all thought that at one point.
Oh yeah,
we're all like,
totally.
But it may not be about American Ninja Warrior. It's about everything. I mean, there's certain things. You see someone successful, you see someone enjoying themselves, and you're like, yeah, I could do that for sure.
Yeah.
Is there any like certain moment or grouping of moments or anything that you remember that kind of just push you like to finally take that leap and start really going after and focusing on the training for it? And
I think I don't know if it's moments so much as for me it was just this underlying feeling that I had that was building over years. When I got done with track and field, I said, okay, my life is changing now, sports competition is done, and I really committed myself to going down a career path. But I didn't ever lose the desire to compete that I had before, and I really, really wanted it back. And the more time that went past of me trying to do something else, the stronger that feeling became. So it was just that feeling really that kind of pushed me forward and really drove me to want to take a big risk and see if I could make it work out.
So it's just you had to follow your heart, I guess. You had to follow that instinct.
I would say
that's really incredible.
It's a powerful drive that you have if it's something that you're passionate about, and you shouldn't try to suppress it. You should find an outlet for it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and it's really broadly applicable, so that's cool.
So tell us about that your first the day that you were like, okay, I'm done with the bank. I'm gonna start training to do this, and then what do? You submit a tape? Like at what point are you ready to even do that?
Well, you do have to submit a tape.
Yeah,
this is just a personal thing. Chris is now he's getting his own.
Chris is like, I'm gonna do it.
So yes, I started training for it as best as I could think how.
Sure.
So I just followed my own instincts. I didn't really have anyone to train with at that time.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any contact with the existing ninjas.
Okay.
There was another ninja warrior named David Campbell, who was a very dominant force on the show for a long time, and he was actually from my hometown.
Oh, wow.
And I hadn't really done my homework and didn't even know that he was from the hometown. But one of my friends had met him before, and he said, "Oh, this guy's already doing it. You should get in contact with him." So I tried. But I think probably a lot of people have done that before in the past. And he said, well, I'm training on my own, but there's a competition here. If you want to come to it, we can hang out there. So I went to the competition, and I did very well. I think I beat him on one of the courses, and he beat me on one of the other courses. And after that, he's like, okay.
Maybe we should train together. Who's training who? Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely I was the one being trained at that point, because there's a lot of, even if you're able to do the things, if you're new to it, there's a lot of knowledge to pick up,
Yeah.
And it's important to absorb as much as you can from everybody else. So that was kind of how I started the training process. In terms of the video, I put together a video, submitted it. It was not accepted. Okay. So the alternative, I found out through those competitions I had started doing, the privately run ninja competitions. I met some of the other guys who had been in the process of doing the show before, and they were going to go walk on.
Rudy.
Yeah. So they're gonna go walk on, and when I didn't get the call back, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go walk on with you guys, I guess. What does that entail? So it entails camping out in front of the course for a while. And I was really on the fence about it, because it sounded like it was probably gonna end up being a waste of time. And you don't know for sure if you're gonna make it. You're just gonna spend a lot of days waiting. So I told this other guy, and I said, okay, we're gonna go down together. And I didn't hear from him after that. And then one day, it was like after the time we had set to head down there, and I just thought, okay, it's falling through. And then he just calls me up, and he goes, all right, somebody just posted that they're in line for the walk-on line, so I'm heading down right now. Do you want to come? So fortunately, I had already quit the bank job.
Nice.
And I said, okay, I'm going. And so he picked me up, and we drove down and camped out on Venice Beach for like 4 days. Wow. And then I just barely got a run spot, so I was really lucky. Wow. I remember I was in the top 10, and then they bumped me back from the top 10 because they wanted to put in a couple of other people that were in line in front of me. And then they set me as the person in ready position. So if anybody that was already called to run the course wasn't prepared to run at their time, I was just going to take their slot and go.
Wow.
And so 4.5 hours of jogging in place later, they broke for lunch. And then I had a little break, and I came back, and I sort of started warming up, and then one of the guys goes, hey, this guy's been here for a really long time. Let's let him run the course. And that's how I got my shot on Ninja Warrior.
Wow. Persistence.
So you were top 10 out of the walk-ons, or just top 10 overall?
I was like 10th in place.
Okay, got you.
But that day I was actually 4th overall.
Oh, wow.
In the competition.
Holy crap, dude.
Now, okay, so you run through, you kill it, you do really well. What sprang you into so much popularity? I mean, so for me, when I've looked into your past in American Ninja Warrior, I mean, we all see the cannonball.
Yeah.
And we see this dude throw his legs over it and then dismount beautifully onto a pad, and everyone goes wild. I mean, so was that the moment? I mean, was that the specific moment that you think kind of sprang your popularity and started establishing a brand for you? Or
that was the moment. That was the big moment for sure.
Yeah. Did you plan that?
I did plan the move. I didn't know quite how big of a deal it was going to become, but I thought it would be an interesting way to get through.
Totally.
So I had seen a lot of people miss trying to use their hands on that obstacle. So there's a lot of people that had tried to do it in sort of a rock climber's technique where you use your grip strength to get through. And I knew that my grip strength wasn't there because I hadn't been doing any grip strength training really at that point. I was brand new. And I had thought that it was a good setup to get your legs over the top. And maybe that goes back to my tree climbing days where you swing up and grab something with your legs to get over.
Oh, of course.
So I thought about it and I'd mentioned it to a few people and they said, that's crazy. So they had convinced me not to do it. But then when I saw like 15 people fail doing it the other way, I thought, all right, let's try the crazy way and we'll see if that works. And I'm very, very happy that it worked out.
So there's an underlying lesson and tone behind everything, behind your whole story, and there's two pieces that I've seen so far, and one is thinking outside of the box, and the other is following your instincts. And you've done both of those and created such a crazy amount of success for yourself. It's really inspiring for the people sitting at this table for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also for any of our listeners that have that burning feeling inside of them and they can do nothing but follow it. It's like you're definitely an inspiration to them. So thank you for that. Thanks for pursuing your dreams and your passions. Yeah, hell yeah. It's very cool.
Pleasure to be able to do it.
So to that, the next step on your path, should we cut to Dojo Boom, or is there something in between? I mean, you were picked up by, you got some sponsors and, you start building your brand.
There's definitely a lot of things in between.
Sure.
But the Dojo Boom and the sponsorship are part of the same thing.
Yeah.
And that was a big change. So this company that's helped me to start Dojo Boom, the company that built it, is called Circus Tricks.
Yeah.
And they do these parks all over the world. And I started working with them they're a relatively new company too. They started in 2011. And I started working with them my first year of Ninja Warrior. They contacted me and they said, hey, we've got a park down in Fresno. Why don't you come down and do an event? And I did. It was a lot of fun. They were great to work with. And I just felt like this was a company that kind of shared that kind of outside the box thinking that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
And we did a number of other events together, promotional ones. Eventually they offered to do a full endorsement deal with me last year.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I got to spend a year being a professional ninja with an endorsement, which was excellent.
Paid to be a ninja.
Yeah.
Man.
You and Bruce Lee,
right. And that was a lot of fun. They were great. We did a lot of marketing together. And then this year they said, well, we've got a lot of new parks opening up, and we're interested if you'd like to run one of them. So I said yes, absolutely.
Was this location in Thousand Oaks already one of their spots that they were eyeballing to?
Yeah, so it was. We weren't sure at first where I was going to go, but I requested to come down south to Southern California, and there's two down here that we're going in. It's Thousand Oaks here and Circus Tricks Orange County, which is down in Mission Viejo.
Okay.
But I feel very fortunate to be here in Thousand Oaks. It's a great place. Really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, it's a good community. It helps you break away from that city feel of Los Angeles. It doesn't. It has more of that communal feel.
Yeah, and I think coming down from the woods of Scotts Valley, staying a little bit out of the city was important.
Yeah. Back to the
change.
Oaks. Yeah. That's really neat.
So why here in particular in like in the greater Los Angeles area? Like,
No, that's a good question, and I don't know if I know all the details to the answer as to why this particular location was chosen. I know that it's a very good location since we opened. It's one of the first places that I think it is the first place they've done that's in a shopping center.
Yeah, I used to buy my towels right here.
Yeah, but it was like linen and things right, a while ago. So yeah, it looks a little different in here now.
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Very neat.
So it's very cool. We have an interesting space with a lot of windows, and there's a lot of foot traffic out front, which is unusual for these trampoline parks type things. They usually go into industrial zones.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because there's like the go-kart places and similar kind of, it's not similar, but entertainment type stuff is commonly in those types of business
industrial
parks.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna kind of jump to the next.
Well, I'll finish up by saying I think this location specifically for me was good because this build of theirs was so far outside of the box of the things they'd done before.
Sure.
And that's also the way I like to do things. So
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So you created this amazing product, we can call it. This beautiful gym called Dojo Boom. Part of creating a product is always knowing your demographic, knowing your audience, and then appealing to them. How would you? Well, so what is the demographic? Who are the people that you think that you would like to benefit from this amazing space, and how are you appealing to them? What do you think appeals to them?
I mean, we're definitely appealing to the family. So that's the demographic. That's the key demographic. That's also the demographic for the TV show Ninja Warrior. It's the family. It's all about family. And what we've done here is we've created an area where the whole family can enjoy themselves. I made these obstacles to be challenging. The things in here, they're really high level. It's also enjoyable for the kids. We have lots of kids that are coming in. I find that a lot of places that try to cater to kids, they dumb things down too much for them.
Sure.
The kids are very capable of attempting difficult things, and it doesn't mean they're going to get them every time, do them successfully, but it's always worth it for them to try and to have something to challenge themselves with.
I mean, you can tell they're definitely trying because we saw a lot of kids out there walking in here, just doing their thing.
I watching my son jump in here, I realized that, as a father, you don't, sometimes your instinct is, he's gonna fall, like you want to catch him, but sometimes you gotta kind of learn that. Like he learned on here, he jumped off one of the big squares and he just rolled like real elegantly, like without me coaching him or anything. And I'm like, that's just, he's gonna learn how to do it,
Totally.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, if you know how to roll, you solve a lot of problems.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so with that, you guys have built this great facility. You're catering a lot to family, but you're also catering to adults as well, as far as, the obstacle courses and, the grip strength and things that you guys, so like kind of how do you want to have this place appeal more to the adults, or like what is it that will appeal to the adults?
Yeah, I think what appeals to the adults here is sort of the level of difficulty and the level to which you can push yourself if you want to. A couple of the things that really stand out are the ninja course, of course. Very grip strength intensive, very upper body intensive. And then we have an attraction called the Super Tramps, which are these 3 very high quality Euro trampolines, the type you'd see in the Olympics for the competitions, surrounded by walls for wall tricking.
Wow.
And you can really work yourself up to some pretty cool moves. And it's a really fun jam session to come in and play on it. In fact, me and the staff usually do after work. We go out there and we try new tricks and things, and it's a lot like surfing or skateboarding or anything where you sit on the side and watch somebody else go, and then you try to do that.
Yeah,
it's a blast.
That's awesome.
Now, was there kind of a built-in, I'll call it a ninja community in the area that was just ready for it, or is that something that you're building up?
Ninja community has usually been very spread out, and almost everywhere you go, there's a few places. It's definitely more concentrated on the East Coast than it is out here in California. But ninjas have always been kind of few and far between historically. But there's a lot of enthusiasts. There's a lot of people who are enthusiastic about learning that type of stuff and aren't sure where or how to do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we've got a lot coming in, a lot of people that are fairly new to these things, but are enthusiastic about giving it a try and about learning about it. There's a couple of ninjas in the area, myself and then Jesse Graff, also one of the most successful ninjas of all time, and one of the most fun to watch. Is also in the area too.
That's awesome. So what do you see this place becoming? Like, will you, for those enthusiasts and people who are wanting to learn, like, will this place be a place where they can kind of come and even get some one-on-one training, or will you just keep it kind of catered to the family?
Do like Ninja Night?
Yeah.
Do a special Ninja Night. Yeah, I've been thinking about that actually, thinking about a time when we can up the training level a little bit above the normal hours.
Sure.
And I would like to do that, but we're new.
Yeah,
we just started out, and there's a few things we need to handle and take care of first.
Because I'll tell you, I didn't think it was here at first, but like I said, I'm going back to Spartan, and I know you were on a Spartan television show as well. But I was like, there's nobody doing this out here. And then the more I start going on social media, the more and more things start popping up.
A couple little ones pop up here and there. Yeah.
Some of the best Spartan, Hunter McIntyre's, he's down in
Malibu.
Yep. I went to one of his, he trains with a running coach here in Camarillo, Richard Diaz. I went down there and, trained with some other people who, are, actually ranking. I was like, what am I doing here with all these people? But, there's it's just more and more stuff has popped up.
A couple of the ninjas went to Hunter's Ranch last weekend, and I was really bummed that I couldn't make it.
Oh, man.
It was looked like it was going to be a fun time.
I'm trying to triangulate it with his photos.
Where's this thing?
Secret place.
This place is so much fun. Do you do events here, or what
we
kind of
will
events?
be, yeah. I'm going to run ninja competitions from time to time. We're going to have dodgeball tournaments.
Awesome.
Some of the other parks have gone so far as to have music concerts inside the location, which
that's neat.
I think this one actually would be a pretty good one for that.
Oh yeah,
But,
sure.
Well, so I have my birthday coming up, January 22nd.
Awesome.
If I wanted to bring a bunch of buddies, would this be a good place for a birthday setting? You guys do adults and kids
Absolutely.
and different birthdays.
We love birthdays here.
Cool.
It's a fun place to get your energy out, and we've got a few more sitting in a party room right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we'd love to have you. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. And people can bring in food and stuff, I'm guessing, or do you guys do? So how's that work?
You bring in your own food. We don't do food in here, but
Okay.
we have someone to help you with it, and you can
bring
in whatever you like.
Okay.
We'll serve it up for you and clean up after.
So it's just a bunch of pizza and then jumping on trampolines.
Jumping on trampolines,
Maybe wait 30 minutes after.
Yeah, we're not swimming. It's fine.
Jumping on trampolines, running warp walls, doing a little parkour.
Yeah,
We got the rock wall for you in the back.
I got to hit it at some point. I'm just gonna have to go hands only right now because my feet messed up foot. Well, that's awesome. What do you have any side projects you're working on right now?
So somewhat. This takes up almost all my time right now.
It must,
I was halfway through a project when I started this one,
Okay.
which was up in Northern California. I had been running a series of obstacle course competitions called the Pitfall Obstacle League.
Okay.
So I have been working with that, and we've run about 22 competitions, I think, over the last 2 years up there.
Wow, that's cool.
And it's been a lot of fun. I've worked with different training facilities around that area, and we've all worked together to put on these great competitions. Lots of kids and adults in the competition. And so that's a project that I'm working on still.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's taken kind of a pause while I get this up and running and more stable.
Is this? I'm assuming you're training for American Ninja Warrior. Is that something that you're still doing?
I am still training.
Okay.
Oh,
is this
secret
theoretically? Yeah. So at the moment, I've literally been in here almost all day, every day since we opened. And there hasn't been a lot of. I did one workout this last week. I went for a run, but I have a little bit of work to do to get back in shape after this. But I think I'm getting close to being able to do that. So.
Okay.
So you're also a part of the Children's Alopecia Project.
Yeah, I've
So
been working
give
with
us a
them
little
for
bit about
a few
that.
years. The Children's Alopecia Project, I have a condition called alopecia, which is where my immune system kills my hair, so I don't have any. But it strikes at a variety of different ages, and there's a lot of young kids that have it. And then it can be difficult for them, I believe, because kids are tough. They look different, and it's at a time in your life when you really just want to blend in with everybody else, which I've found to not be the best. I think it's good to stand out, and that's the message that I try to deliver to them, to not worry about looking different or being different. But it's been a great group with a lot of great people that I've got to meet over the couple of years that I've been doing it.
That's awesome. And do you get them involved in what you're doing here with the ninja training, the obstacle courses and stuff like that?
I do. I actually was able to invite the group out, the local group here in the area, out to our grand opening of Dojo Boom. So they were here to see the opening, which was great. And they host several events as well throughout the year, which I usually can make it to. Unfortunately, this year the big one was on the same day we were filming for American Ninja Warrior, so I couldn't make that one. But
well, you were representing in your own way over.
Absolutely.
Trying to, of course.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I just want to kind of go a little bit more abstract and talk about, your experiences, whether it's from college or it's from, working as a banker or stock trader or a ninja warrior, or even working, well, not necessarily here, but I want to talk about how your experiences throughout your life might have prepared you for, your role here at Dojo Boom.
Sure.
Some of the kind of the business lessons that you might have gleaned from being a ninja warrior and everything else. Is there anything specific that you could think
interesting. I think, the business lessons from Ninja Warrior specifically, or reaching back. Okay.
Yeah. You don't want to keep them all night.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot. Things tend to translate over one discipline to another. Ninja Warrior has been a very interesting experience, and just being able to do the obstacles is a lot about a mental process, and it's a process of determining what's the most important piece of any problem that you're up against, and then the flow of solving that important piece. There's a lot of extraneous detail, and you need to sort through what's important and what's not, and those same skills apply to business as well. Except here there's more extraneous details. But the obstacles kind of help you to focus, and you see, okay, well, this is this part, and sometimes obstacles have little traps built into them, things that maybe look important but aren't, or things that you can skip past. And I think finding those things in the business world is how you stay successful.
So creative problem solving, and you are actually, most people try to stay away from obstacles, and you spend your life finding them and figuring out how to overcome them.
That's true. That's one of the things. I mean, there's always detriments to it, which is if you have a habit of finding obstacles, that's not what you want to be doing in the workplace.
Or in your love life, or I guess. But that's neat. I mean, you've created such a cool reality for yourself, and you can obviously tell that you enjoy doing it, and you're very passionate about it. And like I said before, you're a huge success story, and you're a true inspiration, and it's just incredible. It's really cool.
Thank you.
It's a great experience.
Yeah, I'm so as we get closer, we're
45 in.
45. There was a couple of people on Facebook that wanted to ask you questions.
Oh, sure.
They being what you do, it's more related to your athleticism and your training.
Okay.
So we have Peter Morrow here, and he was asking, do you participate in any other types of obstacle races? I kind of already knew the answer to that, but what was your experience like on Ultimate Spartan?
Ultimate Team Challenge,
Ultimate, it's really wordy.
It is a little wordy. That was really fun. I had a blast with that. Most of my life I've done individual sports, and that's kind of where my talent has been. But having a team is a wonderful thing. I love having a team, and seeing this sport here, the Ultimate Team Challenge, was set up so that it still played to the same type of athletic abilities that most of the individual things that I've done played to, but it's in a team format. So that was a lot of fun, having teammates there to rely on and help you. And I think it took a little bit of the pressure off. When you're doing an individual sport, it's just everything's coming down to you.
Sure.
And this is a situation where, you know, you try to help your teammates sometimes your teammates help you, and it just had a more jovial feel throughout the whole thing. So when you finished, it was really like kind of a happy feeling, like a really happy.
Cool. The Spartan does a really good job of having. Well, you know, it's one of the more competitive obstacle course racing companies, but it really. For the people who are not racing competitively, there is a really community aspect to it, like you can find in other.
I've been able to do a few of the Spartans, the regular ones, and I wish I could do more. I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's difficult to throw the distance training into the other training that I do because nothing even approaches 3 miles, and that's the lowest distance. But it's a lot of fun, and I've had fun. I had to do a 15-miler last year. Almost, no, it was 14. It was like a little over 14, but it was that was hard. That was the longest I had ever run in my life, and the most I did in preparation was I did 1 7-mile run.
You're like, we can just double it.
It's halfway.
That's close enough.
I'm basically right there. You know, I was like, I started getting into this about a year ago doing Spartan races. And I did the first one over at Dodger Stadium. It was in August.
I hear the stadium races are hard. I haven't done one yet.
A lot of stairs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. But after that first race, I was like, I have to do this a lot now. Yeah. So I signed up for another sprint that just got finished out in Castaic Lake just a couple of weeks ago. And then now I have another, I'm just signed up for a super, which is the middle distance, and a beast in May. So I'm really kind of going for it here. But
Chris has been trying to get me to do one with him. I told him that if the Dodgers won the World Series, I would do one with him, but it worked out.
But you're an Astros.
And now the deal is that my next race, I have to get less than 120 burpees from failed obstacles, because that's what I did last time. And they're all from grip strength.
All the grip strength ones,
so now you got to help me out with that.
Nice.
Okay, so we also have Alan Keller here that asks, what do you do for fun? Because you kind of you work a lot, but it's pretty fun here. But
it is pretty fun here. What do I do for fun?
When you had time, when you had free time, what did you do?
I'm gonna have to think a little ways back to when I had some time. But I like to, besides playing on the obstacles, which is always fun, and training, which is always fun. I have, one of the fun things I get to do every year is I do a road trip. Okay. I have some buddies from high school. We've done a road trip every year since high school. So we're on that's awesome. 16 or something like that. And we've been in a lot of different places. Went all over the western states because we were from Santa Cruz originally, but there was some time where they were both living on the East Coast, and now one of them lives in Singapore and the other one's down here. So we've been going to different places. We've been to most of the U.S. We've been to Costa Rica, Singapore, and Thailand. And it's just fun to travel. So
what's going on for 2018?
For 2018, we haven't planned it out yet.
Okay.
Largely because of the opening of Dojo Boom here.
Sure. You're messing things up.
I'm the hardest one. Yeah, it used to be the other ways around back at the beginning days where it was easy for me to travel.
Yeah.
But now I'm the one that's always making the road trips hard.
For sure.
But we've got one that's in the works that we've been planning is our Alaska trip. We want to go up to Alaska.
Oh man, that'd be fun.
We're either,
I love Alaska.
The original thought of the Alaska trip was to fly into Fairbanks and then drive to the Arctic Circle, which is like a 500-mile drive through tundra with like 12 people, residents living along that path. But the alternative is one of the other ninjas lives in Unalakleet, which is on sort of the western coastline of Alaska. And we might go visit him there instead, but we'd go in the winter time. He would teach us how to hunt and do all those things that they do up there in the winter.
Get primal with it.
Yeah, so that would be a cool trip too, and sort of a horizon expanding trip.
Yeah.
So is there you do all these trips. Is there something from that, I'm sure it's just like getting together, because I've been friends with these guys for a long time too. We do similar stuff, but is there what is it about like road trips specifically that because you guys could just hang out here and
That's true. Yeah. Well, I think it's just. There's a couple things. One is when you've been doing a tradition like that with people for so long, you kind of learn interesting ways of dividing up the tasks. And we have a set system of tasks that on these road trips that each one of us does. And who talks to a person, when we meet people, because you meet new people, you go to new places, you have to figure things out as you go. And whenever you're meeting new people, it's we already know which one of us is going to talk to that person based on stereotypically what they look like. If they're a hipster, I've got one of my friend who talks to all the hipsters, and if they're kind of meaty, I'm the guy that talks to the meatheads.
Do people recognize you from
they do, they do. So that's kind of a new thing for the road trips because we've been doing them for so long. But now I get recognized when we're traveling.
How's that go?
It's interesting. It's fun. I always like getting stopped. It's always nice to have somebody say that they, are interested in what you're doing, and that they like the type of things that you're into, and it's always nice to get a compliment.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but it changes the dynamic a little bit of the road trip, because normally when you're traveling, you're kind of incognito. You're kind of under the radar. You're in a new place. But
now I see you on these road trips, hopping out of a van and just climbing a tree. Is that something that goes down too?
Oh yeah, we've done that a number of times. There's the random. I think it's the random jump in the stream, which we've done a number of times when you're traveling and you've been riding in the car for a ton of hours, and then there's just a river. And you drive to the fence, and then you hop the fence, and you just run to the river and jump in. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, let's do one more question here. This one's from Douglas Arant. And he asked, and I'm pretty interested in this one as well, if you had to pick just one exercise to train, what would it be?
Just one exercise to train.
Because that's all I have time for, so.
Yeah, of course. That's a tough question from somebody that does multi-sports. I guess probably the one exercise I would do the most is pull-ups. If I could only pick one.
Sure.
Pull-ups has to be the one that I use the most.
How many pull-ups can you do in a row? Is that a thing?
My record, there's a lot of different ways to do pull-ups.
Sure.
And if you're doing strict pull-ups, it's different than if you're kipping, right? With kipping pull-ups, though, my record was 65.
Okay.
And I did that when I was feeling particularly good during a CrossFit workout.
Wow.
So I just want to kind of a close-out question, and we may have covered some of it, but I just want to know what's next for you? What's next for Kevin? Where do you see yourself in the next year? Besides running this place and doing all that, but where do you see yourself in the near future?
Yeah, well, I think this is an interesting new chapter in my life with Dojo Boom. It's a big responsibility, and it's definitely my main focus. But down the road, I want to keep this expanding. Dojo Boom is a great mix with me because it's about thinking outside the box. It's about taking a different approach to how we see athletics. And what I see myself doing is continuing to sort of push this idea that it's okay to make the effort to try new things, that it's okay to practice. You shouldn't be overly worried. You should always be cautious and do things in a safe way possible, but you shouldn't let fear stop you from trying new things, and that you should think outside the box when it comes to your sports.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah. So where can people find you on the socials?
The socials, well, you can find me at Kevin the Bull with underscores instead of spaces, and you can find Dojo Boom at Dojo Boom.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, thanks again for coming on. I learned a lot.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to be doing a lot more pull-ups, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
Man, it's an honor having you on. Man.
You can find us at 5 O'Clock Hustle on Instagram and 5 O'Clock Hustle on anything, 5o'clockhustle.com.
Yep. With the number 5.
With the number 5.
Don't forget. All right, 5 O'Clock Hustle. Every time it's going to be 5 o'clock now. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. 5 O'Clock Hustle.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you want to ask any questions, you can do it in the comments and on our webpage. Thanks again.
All right.
Thank you.
Dojo Boom.